Politicians love to tell us while they're trying to protect our children, and many are going to make that theme the central focus of their campaigns. But a new report shows that children in the U.S. are not being protected from all things like child marriage and grueling agriculture work and oversight. I rarely do this, but I want to do this. This article created by Slate sucks. It absolutely sucks. It misses the point. The headline is "The Big New Report, American Children Out." And you know why it sucks? It's because they try to take a political angle on it. The first paragraph is, "This is all about red states." Nonsense. When you dig down, it's as much about blue as it is red. But what ends up happening is anybody looking at this story by paragraph number 3 says, this has lost total credibility with me. That's what we try to avoid here on this show. We try to say, call balls and strikes. If it's red, it's red. If it's blue, it's blue. But this writer for Slate thought it was so important to take a political position that they almost discounted the importance of this article. You picked the article up. I think it sucks. Go ahead and tell us what it's about.
Yeah, and to your point there too, they also mentioned like a lot of this happens in the Bible Belt, but it's also literally happening everywhere else too. So you didn't even need to include it.
Right.
But what we've got here is this new report from Human Rights Watch that usually is looking at other countries and telling us how horrible things are there. They're looking at the United States and they're saying, listen, all those problems that we've identified in mostly third world countries, child marriages, children as young as 7 grueling for 12 hours a day in the fields, that's happening literally in your backyard. We have had hundreds of thousands of children, some as young as 10 years old, married off within the last decade here in the United States, usually 10-year-old girls marrying adult men or girls under the age of 15 and 14 marrying adult men because it's legal. Most states it's legal.
This is an important story. That's not my point. You and I have done this story half a dozen times. Agriculture industry that's, kids are working the agriculture industry. They're losing their arms. They're using their legs. Now you've got immigrants coming in. They're going to put those children there. If they lose a leg, ship them back home. No big deal. Ship them back to Nicaragua. We've done plenty of these stories. But we've tried to do it to where we're saying, this is the problem. Don't close the door. Don't close the door to evaluation and analysis because of your childlike way of thinking. To say, I'm going to do everything red and blue. This article could have been a good article. It just sucks. After the first paragraph, you go, really?
Well, and I'll tell you another thing they missed too. They mentioned for a couple words child poverty. They said, but we didn't get into that. We have child poverty exploding right now in the United States. Those reports have been everywhere over the last couple weeks. After the getting rid of the expanded child tax credit that we had during COVID, which was one of those great COVID poverty policies, we lifted millions of kids out of poverty. And then just for no reason, we said, we're just going to stop. And all those children immediately, their families fall right back into poverty, and these kids don't know where their next meal's coming from.
Farron, let me turn it up even a little bit more. How many stories have you seen corporate media do on this? Even the agriculture issue, where the numbers are staggering. We're letting kids work equipment they should not be around. They're dying, they're losing limbs. How many times have you seen corporate America do a story on that? Because corporate America does not like corporate media does not like to report on corporate America, period.
Exactly. I mean, they'll go to a commercial, they're advertisers, you've got Tropicana, or you've got Idaho Potatoes, or John Deere, Monsanto, everybody involved in agriculture, so we're not going to talk about the fact that we got kids dying in the fields.
They won't do these stories. When I did corporate media a long time, as you know. And, we'd be in the middle of the small count, Pap, 10, 9, 8, 7. They'd say, Pap, we got to change the story. I might be talking about bear, for example, or whatever. And then all of a sudden, in my ear says, you can't do the story. You have to do some nonsense snowflake story about the Constitution. Because in between the time that the tickle or coming up, Mike Papantonio's talking with Ed Schultz or whoever about Bayer and products that are killing hundreds of people. Bayer calls up and says, really? You going to do that story? Well, we're going to cut your advertising dollars down. And so I have to change the story. That story doesn't get told. That's corporate media interaction with corporate America.